Hi, welcome to Inkpot. In this video, we are going to start with the new chapter, which is overheads. So we all know that what are overheads? All indirect costs are known as overheads. Like I've already explained earlier. So we have indirect material plus indirect labor plus indirect expenses. These are known as overheads, right? Now, overheads can be classified in following ways according to nature. First, we have indirect material, indirect labor, and indirect expenses. All indirect material, labor, and expenses are known as overheads. Now, according to normality, we have normal overheads, abnormal overheads. Now, what are these normal and abnormal overheads? Normal overheads basically refers to the overheads which are expected to be incurred in attaining a given output. These overheads are unavoidable, therefore included in the production cost. And abnormal overheads are like abnormal idle time. So, those overhead costs which are not expected to be attaining. The overheads which are a part of routine production are normal overheads, and the overheads which are not the part of routine production are abnormal overheads. And normal overheads are treated as production cost, while abnormal overheads are charged to costing profit and loss account. Now, next is according to controllability. We have controllable overheads. The controllable overheads are those overheads which can be controlled by executive action or the management, and the overheads which are not controllable are known as uncontrollable overheads. For example, cost of power used in particular department can be controlled by departmental management manager, but the share of general lighting cost in the factory is to be borne by the department cannot be controlled by him. So next is according to variability. We have fixed overheads, variable overheads, and semi-variable overheads. We all know that the overheads which do not change with the change in output are known as fixed overheads, and the like rent, insurance, plants and fittings, salaries, they do not change with the change in output. Even if we are producing zero product, still we have to give the salary to the manager. So it is a fixed overheads. Variable overheads are like the overheads which change with the change in output. It changes basically proportionately. For example, we have power. The more the production, more is the power consuming cost. And the semi variable overheads are the overheads which are partly fixed and partly variable, right? For example, the landline bills, up to a certain amount it is fixed, and after that it depends upon the number of calls we are making. So it is a semi variable overheads, and electricity is also a semi variable overheads. According to function, we have factory overheads, administrative overheads, and selling and distribution overheads. So we all know that factory overheads are the expenses incurred at factory level. Administrative overheads are the overheads which are incurred at the office level, and selling and distribution overheads are the overheads which are incurred at the time of selling and distribution. So basically the functional division of overheads is a conventional method for classifying the overheads. So for doing the practical part, we basically use this distribution or classification. Now, what are the treatment of certain items of just give a pause for a second. Cut this part. Now I'm going to start again. Now, the treatment of certain items of factory overheads. First, provision of obsolescence. Now, if the provision for obsolescence is when the machinery get outdated or obsolete. So if Otherwise, we do not show any provisions in the cost sheet. But if the provision for obsolescence is created because actual life is less than the estimated life, it is like additional depreciation and is charged to factory overheads. But if the provision for obsolescence is only for the precautionary measure, it is an appropriation of profit and hence it is excluded from the cost accounts. Next, cost of defective work. The cost of normal defective work is charged to factory overheads and abnormal defective work is charged to costing profit and loss account. In each case, every normal overhead is charged to factory cost, office cost or selling and distribution of cost. But all abnormal overheads are charged always to costing profit and loss account. Now the idle capacity. The idle capacity is that part of capacity which is not actually utilized. And the treatment is when the idle time is due to normal and unavoidable reason, it is charged to factory cost. When the idle time is due to abnormal reasons like trade depression, again normal is charged to factory cost and abnormal is charged to costing profit and loss account. When idle time is avoidable, it is charged to again costing profit and loss account. So this is very important. Interest on capital. Some people say that interest on capital should be included in the total cost and some say that it should not be included in total cost. So we have arguments for inclusion and arguments against inclusion in this case. So first argument for inclusion of interest on capital in the total cost is that interest is a reward for capital like wages are reward for labor. So therefore it should be included. So interest is a part of capital, it should be included. And secondly, they are saying that in case of some industries like we have timber, alcoholic industries, the major part of the cost is rent, right? So that is why it should be included in the total cost, otherwise it may lead to misleading results. And next is argument against inclusion. First point is payment of interest is a matter of internal finance and is no way connected to the cost of manufacturing. That is why it should not be included in interest on capital. Determination of fair rate of interest is a problem. We are calculating interest on our own capital. So what is the normal rate of return, normal rate of interest? It might create a problem. Third point, it is very difficult to determine the exact capital on which the interest is to be calculated. So that is why there are these last point is if interest is allowed on capital which is not borrowed, it will unnecessarily inflate the cost of production. So that is why it should not be included. Next is expenses on erection of machinery. It should be debited to profit and loss account. Experimental expenses are always charged to factory overheads. Royalties are treated as direct expense. If it is a pain on unit sold, it is treated as indirect expense. If it is paid on output, then it is treated as a direct expense. And if it is paid, it's not paid, it is paid on unit sold, it is treated as indirect expense. Development cost, if the development cost is very much normal, it is charged to the specific product. But if it is heavy expenditure, then it must be considered as deferred expenditure and should be charged over the years. Leave travel assistance, it should be like the leave travel assistance of production labor should be charged to the prime cost. The leave travel assistance of factory workers should be charged to factory cost, and office employees should be charged to office cost, and selling and distribution salesmen and all that should be charged to selling and distribution cost, as the case may be. Research cost, the basic research refers to the knowledge of technical know-how and should be charged to the production process in case of factory overheads. And applied research relates to improvement of a product and it should be considered as a deferred expenditure. Fringe benefits again should be charged as a direct cost. Tool cost, if the large tools are purchased, then it should be shown in balance sheet, and if the small tools are purchased like nuts and bolts, it should be charged as overheads. Data processing cost, This cost should be apportioned to the department using the services of the department on the basis of computer hours. For example, data processing cost of factory department should be charged to factory cost, and so on. Treatment of certain items of selling and distribution overheads now. Market research. Again, if the market research is very basic and for a particular product only, it should be charged to that product. It should be added to the cost of that product. And if it is a significant expenditure, it should be charged to charged as deferred expenditure. Discounts. The trade discounts are always deducted from the cost of purchases, while the cash discount is a financial expense, pure financial expense, and should not be included in cost accounts. Donations are never included in cost accounts. After sale services are a selling and distribution expense, so it should be included in selling and distribution overheads. Thank you so much.